everyone. Thank you for having me. I feel very, very honoured to be here today, and I guess a little overwhelmed at the idea of speaking to a whole room of women, because as a young person I never really saw very far ahead of my own life. So I very much lived in the moment, and I never really planned anything. So when I see, you know, such a scope of ages in the room, I think to the mother that I never had, I think to the grandparents that I never had, and I spent a long time pushing through, I guess, some female authority issues, to put it nicely. Sorry to any teachers at Cobram Secondary College that may be here today. It wasn't personal. And to the young people in the room too, because I find this a privilege to speak in front of young people, and I probably won't look at you a lot because you make me nervous. But and not because you've done anything wrong, because when I was your age, I had a very interesting head, brain, and thoughts. Looking back on it now, I know for sure that I was a sponge, and this sponge sucked up everything negative, mostly negative, but everything in my space. And in my space was two humans, I wouldn't call them parents, but two humans that were doing the best they could in the situation they were unable to get out of. And I'll touch on that a little bit later, but again, a bit of age and a bit of wisdom has really taught me that I could continue being angry at the situation that I was born into, but that's not going to achieve anything. The more that I understand it and the more therapy sessions I go to, amen, for counsellors and psychiatrists, beautiful humans, there's nothing wrong with admitting your mental health, and there's nothing wrong with fixing it. And I think there's truth, there's absolute truth in owning it and continuing to evolve. So that if there's one thing I can say to the young people in the room, you will always evolve and you will always change, and you don't have to be the person people think you are. And you don't have to be the person that you think you have to be. So when I lived in Blackwell Crescent, I was expelled halfway through year 8, and that had been a really rocky road up until that point. So I'd been to 16 different primary schools, and I had a little brother and a mother and a father, people that, you know, did the no pants dance and had children for some unknown reason. I think that's a really big part of it too. I've got my own 2 children, and even becoming a mother has completely shifted my brain and shifted my thoughts, because now I understand coping mechanisms and survival. My goodness, I'm sure we've all been there when you have to flip into survival mode to do what you can to survive. My daughter is 4, she'll be 14 any second now. My son is nearly 1, and I don't know about you guys, but when I had my daughter, I cried. I cried because I was excited, and I cried because I was absolutely terrified. Oh my God, I was so scared, and I'm still really scared. But I also cried because she was a girl, and I don't want to get emotional on anyone here, but I still, at 30 years old, feel like we have to battle all the time. It doesn't stop. Like, I feel like I'm just constantly battling to feel like an equal, to make my voice heard in meetings, like just in simple things. Like, has anyone heard of mansplaining? It is a thing, and it happens a lot. And I truly hope that if it happens to you, you can turn around and be like, excuse me, buddy boy, but you can stop talking over me and let me finish, thank you very much. And I was nervous because I didn't want to be the mother that I had. But at the same time, I didn't know what mother to be or that I could be. Does that make sense? Yeah. Great, good, I'm glad I'm on the right track. So I don't want to harp on too long about the negative stuff, but I guess to anyone in this room, regardless of the path that you're on right now, and regardless of where you think you are in your life, I believe in you, and I see you, and I hear you, and I really, really hope that what you're doing and where you are is making you feel good. Because for a really long time, I did what was expected of me and what I thought I should do, and I struggled to stand up, and I struggled to believe in myself. That goes from relationships to my career to lots of things. Like my adopted dad, I call him that, he told me from about 16 to 20 that I should be a high school teacher because I'm really good with kids and I'm really outspoken and I like drama, I like theatre. And I did that. I did a year. I did a traineeship at Notre Dame College, which was super fun with the foul mouth I've got. Covered in tattoos, and at the time I was like 21, covered in piercings and very adamant of who I was and that I wasn't going to bend or change. And that was a really good year of growth, by the way. Every experience you have is growth and you're learning something. And I really did enjoy the theatre, and I really did enjoy young people and being in the same space and teaching them what I knew. But it didn't make my heart explode. It didn't make me want to get up in the morning. I felt proud of the work I was achieving, but it didn't make me happy. And it wasn't until I was 21 that I broke up with the boyfriend that I had. He was a beautiful man, and you know, we had a great relationship, but I didn't want to live in Shepparton anymore. I wanted to run away and join the circus and not be older than what I was. Does that make sense? Like, I'd spent from the age of 15 living with my boyfriend and you know, being an adult, and I hadn't been a teenager, and I hadn't had like any of that fun and crazy experience that all my friends at uni had. So I moved to Melbourne and I started going to uni, and I'm not very good at learning like this. I'm not very good at that. That's when you move 16 different primary schools and you get to high school and you still can't tell the time or actually spell that well, and you get caught out, thanks Shepparton High School. I'd be like, so how long until lunch? And my teacher would be like, look at the clock, and I'm like, so it's not long yet. I got really good at that. You know, I moved to uni and I really had a great time. But what I found a lot was the disadvantage that I felt as a child continued to follow me. So even at uni, even standing on my own 2 feet, I still was different to everybody else in class, and I still, didn't matter if I got scholarships or I got money given to me, or, you know, or I got vouchers or support from the government. It still wasn't enough. I still was desperate to have parents that I could call and say, whoops, I spent all my money at the pub, could somebody please pay my rent? That was such a big learning curve for me, because even though I had done a lot of things on my own for a really long time, I'd still had, you know, a boyfriend or my boyfriend's parents or whoever to rely on. And once I got to the big bad city, it was certainly a lot different. When I got there though, I learned very quickly that I could do it myself. And eventually at uni, my teacher said to me, why are you here? Why are you actually here? And I said, well, it's because you're meant to get a piece of paper, aren't you? That's what we're taught, we need a piece of paper to succeed in life. And my teacher said, well, you have more experience than everybody in this room put together. So what I specialise in now, governor of the secret garden gigs and the winter sessions, village maker and ground shaker, mother of 2 mini humans and a large human called husband, you know, winner of Young Train of the Year and all that kind of stuff, and on ABC Radio and the Shepparton Festival, and as of 2 weeks ago, creative director of the Shepparton Festival. You know, what was I there for? I was there because I thought I needed paper, and I thought I needed that qualification. And within 6 months of being at uni, my teachers said, why don't you do what you're here for? You want to put on your own music festival. And so I did. So by the time I turned 22, I'd put on a $120,000 music festival called 3630 in Shepparton, where I don't believe in God, but I'm pretty sure that day he taught me another lesson. See how I'm trying to put positive spins on all the bad things? And we got 35 mil of rain in 25 minutes. Oh. And I don't even know if you guys have seen 35 mil of rain because we've been in a drought for so long, but that was pretty good. Yeah. So I lost $20,000. My boyfriend broke up with me a week later, and I lost my license. Yeah, that was really fun. So when I completely crashed down to earth, and had a mini breakdown, and had no reason to get out of bed, and I felt ashamed. I felt really ashamed. I felt really embarrassed. I felt really stupid for trying. And that is one thing that I want everybody here to know, that we haven't failed at anything we've done. We have not failed because we actually tried to do something. That is a huge part of why I'm still standing here. Otherwise I would have killed myself years ago. I struggled for a really long time to figure out what the point was. Why was I born into poverty? Why do I not have any parents? Why have I been so disadvantaged by all of this shit that I can't control? And why am I even trying? I should just cook meth. I should just cook meth and make heaps of money and not have a job and just like have an easy life. I'm being really crass and frank because we've got like this much time to tell you all the things. So I hope I haven't offended anyone. I would never cook meth, by the way. I'm a terrible cook. And honestly, even last week, You know, I was crying to my husband and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I don't know why I try so hard. We all know about the tall poppy syndrome, don't we? Yeah? You get that little bit higher than somebody else and they cut you down because you don't deserve it. And that's another thing, that mentality of not deserving to be successful. So when I left home at 15 and my mother spat at me in the street, that really brought it home for me that she was jealous. She was jealous that I even had the opportunity in 2000 and whatever to leave. And she didn't have that choice to leave. Well, she didn't feel like she had that choice to leave. And when my father was crying, watching me, I knew that he was proud of me, regardless of how he died 2 years ago, and I knew that he was proud of me because I was his daughter and I was making my life better. And he wanted to make a better life and he was too weak. Gambling came into it, mental health and all that stuff. There's so many layers of life, right? And all of that, you know, domestic violence and blah, 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 all those bloody tags that get thrown around all the time. But the God's honest truth is that it's just life. And shit happens to everybody and it's literally your choice of how you change it. So the one thing that I learned, and I continue to learn all the time, is that you have to make a choice. Even 2 weeks ago, my husband and I had the biggest fight we'd ever had because I'm the busiest I've ever been in my life. Doing this entrepreneurial stuff and trying to be a game changer and trying to help people and trying to lift other people up and trying to stay healthy and trying to look pretty and trying to be a great mother to my children and trying to, you know, keep my relationship going. It's so unrealistic and it's not possible, and don't let anybody tell you that it is, because it's not. How do we stay skinny, look good, change people's lives, help the next door neighbour? You know, it's not possible. It can't be done. I've tried and it can't be done. And so they say find a balance. Well, I reckon my husband and I should get divorced so I can have every second weekend off. That's what I think. The unfortunate part is that I love him with all my heart and I couldn't raise my children without him. So, and that's because of where I've come from, and I genuinely don't feel I'm strong enough to raise my children without him. We're so lucky to be alive and we're so lucky to live these privileged lives, and my biggest thing is that every day I have to learn something, and every day, whether it's learning from my parents how not to be shit parents, and if it's learning from that person in a meeting how not to be mean. I once had a woman in a meeting, in a professional meeting, ask me how old I was. Is that even relevant? Should have said, how old are you, Missy? But I didn't. You know why? Because I'm not a witty person. And I was just like, I always have respected my elders, and I went on to like waffle about what I'd done and where I'd come from and like justify myself. I was just like, God damn it, woman. Like I got in the car and I was like, no, you should be proud of me for trying my best and pretending like I know what I'm talking about. Another big thing that you seriously should learn is fake it till you make it. My entire life has been yes. Do you know how to do this? Yes. Can you do this? Yes. And Google is my best friend. But no, in all honesty, I guess I got emotional and I probably didn't finish that train of thought. I'm scared for the future. I'm scared for my daughter. I'm scared. You know that Jill Mayhar was raped and murdered right around the corner from where I lived in Brunswick when I went to uni? I don't know if anyone remembers that. Yes. Literally a block away from my house. And I'm scared for my son. I want him to be the best person possible and be really like, you know, lovely and kind and strong and fierce and brave and gentle, and you know, it's just so unrealistic. And I think something that we have to really, I can feel the vibes of finish up. But one thing I really want to, I guess, stress to everybody is continue doing the best you can. And what I do makes me happy, but it doesn't mean it makes me a lot of money. And that's something that I had to come to terms with too, that if I want to be a creative and I want to change the world and I want to leave my mark, unlike my parents who were literally oxygen thieves, who did nothing with their lives and contributed to nothing and just took, I feel like I'm making up for them and myself and those around me who may not have the strength to do what I do, but it's to be brave. Even the tag, ordinary women doing extraordinary things, I don't think any of us are ordinary. I mean, we have vaginas, for God's sakes, we're incredible. We birthed, no we are, we birthed children, like, and by the way, both of mine came out of the sunroof, but you know what I mean, yeah? You know what I mean. And I am a mother to 3. I mother my husband every single day. Mate, your underwear has been in the same drawer for 7 years. For God's sake, stop asking me where they are. Pick your towel up and put it in the bathroom. I swear to God, back in the bathroom. But I guess be brave and continue doing what makes you happy. I'm gonna drive home today back to Shep, and I'm gonna probably think about every single word that I said to you, because I may stand here and look like I'm super confident, and people may be jealous that I can talk to a room of people, but I'm also extremely critical of myself. I suffer from severe anxiety. I get an email that might be like slightly negative, and I full on just have to spend the entire day getting rid of that feeling in my belly, like I'm gonna vomit, to try and reply. And my whole job is, like, honestly, a lot of emails and a lot of humans. That's my job. And I want you to know that the bravest of people are still weak, and I want you to know that on your weakest days you are still brave, and I want you to know that regardless of where you are and what you've done, you are still so significant, because I came from a caravan park, I came from Blackwell Crescent, I came from sleeping in my car, taking my father's sleeping pills in the hope that I wouldn't wake up the next day. And I came from a place that I and others think I still should be. And I am not there. And I don't have that life, and my children will never know that life. I hope that me talking today gives anybody some confidence to do something else, and to try. Just for the love of God, try. Just try your best, and then try again, and don't stop. Because you mean something, and your actions mean something, and your words mean something. And together, I think, as a community, as a world, we can do so much more. One little thing that my 4-year-old would really like me to tell you is that you need to pick up your rubbish. Thanks so much for having me, and I'm really excited to hear the other speakers today. Like, wow.